What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 mod career mode here with Esteban Ocon's Force India. Today here we're with round 3 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you did miss episode number 2, that was uploaded a couple of days ago, be sure to go check that one out, the Chinese Grand Prix, because it was quite a great one for us as a result. I won't spoil the results, but it was a very, very good Grand Prix. I mean, Australia was pretty good as well in hindsight as well. I mean, both have been fantastic races so far in terms of results, really. It's been a very successful career mode so far, so hopefully we can continue it here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Decent qualifying for us. First time we beat Sergio Perez in qualifying out of the first 3 rounds for the first time on Saturday, so decent there. And decent enough grid slot, I guess. A bit of a weird glitch, though, I want to just address. You'll be able to see there the 2 Red Bull cars some way down the order. Now, I have no clue why. I tried to fix it as best I could. I tried everything, like tried to bump them up if I could. I don't know why, for some reason, just the AI of the Red Bull car and a few other cars just didn't seem want to cooperate, basically, as they should. So I really don't know why that's like that. It's a bit of a weird glitch with the mod. I apologize for that. I can't really do too much, to be honest. So we're just going to have to move on and deal with it and live with it, unfortunately. I mean, it is just a video game, so I'm sure we can live with it. So we're going to get straight into this then. We're going to go towards those 5 red lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix, round 3 of this season. Been a fantastic first 2 rounds for us. What can we do today? 5 lights are out and we're underway for the 3rd round here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's a good start for us in general. We're going to close up on Felipe Massa. Hulkenberg's had a pretty damn decent one there, and he's going to overtake Massa as he goes into turn 1, although Massa will have the inside line. We're going to try and peek around the outside, which will eventually turn to the inside for turn 2. We nip down the inside, go side by side momentarily there with Massa, but he does get us on the exit of traction, so we're going to ultimately stay in P8 there with Hulkenberg, making a cracking start there and getting ahead of Massa as we go down the inside. We can see side by side goes Raikkonen and Lance Stroll there briefly, so Lance Stroll fancies himself against the Ferrari car momentarily as we do successfully overtake Felipe Massa, but actually maybe not quite, because Massa sends it down the inside and he's actually going to force us wide. So actually, no, I was wrong. Massa has got it back. He's round the outside of the hairpin, and fair play to him. He's actually mugged us off there around the outside of the hairpin. So we're back down to P8 there. So the overtake is not done there, and we have to wait until lap 2. Towards the end of lap 2, you can see we just finished sector 2, purple there at the end of sector 2. And so as we go into basically what sector 3 is, just 2 straights and 1 little corner here at the very end of this lap, and we'll line ourselves up to maybe make a pass in the straight line. We should have pretty good straight line speed compared to the Williams car, I would imagine. So let's see as we go down this main straight. No DRS quite yet, because it'll be activated on this lap, so the next lap we will have it. But let's see, we are closing in quite rapidly, and as the sparks fly from Massa's car, we're going to have a little bit of a look down the inside. Can we go for it? We're going to dive in a little bit, but no, we're ultimately going to back out of it. Massa does lock up and gets put off by that, but ultimately in that second phase of the braking zone, I just thought, I'll go for it, try have a little look, just pinch the nose in, but wasn't going to work. I could see Massa was going to cut us off there, and again we just don't have enough speed now on this second mini straight after that initial first chicane of the lap to make any kind of pass here. So we're going to have to stick behind Massa and just try again, basically, perhaps later on in the lap. I mean, towards the middle part of lap 3, obviously we have the first bite of the DRS cherry here, and then we'll get the second bite at the very end of the lap, but swooping through up the hill, getting a bit of time on Massa through the right-hander, and we'll try and see if we can just close up. Hopefully it'll be another purple in the second sector, green only in the second sector, so not as fast as we were last lap, but once again, this time we'll have the DRS now, so not really once again, this time we will have the DRS, but once again we'll try again the slipstream, but this time we will have the drag reduction system, so we'll open up the rear flap and we'll gain even more speed. So hopefully now we can actually make that move into turn 1. So as we go down the main straight, just getting in line with Massa's rear end to get the toe, and then the DRS will pop open there on our rear wing. And so here we go, down to turn 1, on towards lap 4. It's a green lap time for us, but down the inside, even before we get to the end of the braking zone, we have overtaken Felipe Massa, and we're up into P7 now. Will Massa have anything to answer for it in the background? Don't think so. And I think in the background there, I just briefly saw, I saw Sergio Perez trying over to, yeah, there he goes in the background there. Perez going side by side with the Haas car there. Fantastic stuff. So he's going to try and go around the outside of Grosjean, I would imagine that is, as we try and chase after Nico Hulkenberg, who's doing a fantastic job. So that's at least one thing. Unfortunate that the Red Bulls for some reason are glitched around this race, but it does mean that you do have now people like Hulkenberg or people like Grosjean who are up in the good points now at the moment. So that's pretty nice to see. As we move on to lap 6 now, I locked up and went a little bit deep into turn 1, but actually in reality it didn't lose us too much time. And actually we may have gained a little bit of time actually from that, because visually we are definitely a little bit closer to Hulkenberg. So as he's getting stuck behind Lance Stroll, obviously there's a huge gap from Lance Stroll to the next car, which will be the top 6, obviously. And Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix, unfortunately. So that will unfortunately be the second time in 3 races now that our teammate is out of the Grand Prix, and it doesn't look like he's anywhere near cars. So I think, unfortunately for him, it's going to be another engine failure. That's so unlucky for our teammate there. Second engine failure in 3 races. Obviously, he had one at Australia, and now he gets one at Bahrain. That is so gutting for him, and just that's frustrating for me as well, because that doesn't help me out in the constructors, obviously. It's effectively like just having not a teammate there, because he's not going to score points, obviously, for this race. Didn't score in Australia, and remember in Australia, even though I did get a decent amount of points, the 2 Red Bull cars added up to points higher than me, so that's going to happen again. Well, it's maybe not going to happen again if the Red Bulls stayed the way they are in this race, but you get what I mean. It's not going to help me at all, pretty much. So, yeah, really, really unfortunate. But anyway, we're closing up to Nico Hülkenberg now on the end of lap 6 as we go towards the end of the lap, that final corner. Getting a bit of slipstream on this little back straight, but then we'll get through to the final corner, try and brake as late as we dare, and then hit the curb in 3rd gear, try and get the car lined up as straight as we can. Rich mix, obviously. We can't use too much because obviously in this mod the fuel burns very, very fast, but Hülkenberg and Stroll come into the pits actually, so I don't get the satisfaction of overtaking Hülkenberg on track in a straight line there. We'll have to continue on. I'm going to continue on for at least one more lap and try and get a bit of an overcut strategy that worked out for us so many times before in the Ferrari car in season 1 with Raikkonen. If you remember, there was quite a few times where I would go at least 1 or 2 laps longer and it would work out for me. So as we go on towards now the end of lap 7, I think we'll be coming in now because the Ultrasofts can't go too long here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Unlike China last race, the tyre weighs a little bit more here at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Obviously a very hot climate, so tyre heating is an issue here around Bahrain. So as we come down the pit lane, we'll probably go on to another set of Ultrasofts, I would imagine there. Yeah, so we're probably going, I would say we're going Ultrasofts, and then I reckon Super Softs. I think we can actually avoid the soft tyres. I think a few people will be running the soft tyres this afternoon. I reckon we could probably get away with skipping them if I can go a little bit longer on this second set of Ultrasofts and then extend the soft tyres. And basically that's because the soft tyres, I feel like they won't give us the grip. They may be durable, but they won't give us the grip in the corners that we want. So that's my reasoning behind that. Meanwhile, Stroll does think they'll give him the grip, so he's on soft tyres. But thankfully, we have actually jumped Hülkenberg in the pit stop. So the overcut has worked a pretty damn good treat there to overtake the German in the Renault car. So decent. So we're on lap 8 now, and we're closing up on Lance Stroll as best we can up the hill, trying to gain as much time as we can through the right-hander, try and keep the power down by having to lift off a tad in 6th gear there as we go through the very tricky right-hander there, very off-camber always. A little bit of an oversteer there on the exit, but we'll try and close up in a straight line. We've got some fuel to burn that we can use. At the moment we're in standard, and as I mentioned, we just have a fuel problem. Even in standard we're losing fuel, so I'm a bit reluctant to always use that. But as we go down the main straight here, we'll open the DRS, we'll get in the slipstream, and can we try and make a very similar move like we did on his teammate Felipe Massa on Lance Stroll here, on towards lap 9, shimmy to the right, down the inside. Stroll's going to put up a bit of a fight on the outside there. We're into lean mixture to get the traction out of this first turn, back up to standard then on the exit, and we will make that pass, and we're up the order, and we've overtaken Lance Stroll successfully. So pretty damn decent Grand Prix so far. We find ourselves in the highest position possible in this race so far. Technically we're only P8 on the actual road, but of course there's some people that are yet to pit actually, including Stoffel Vandoorne, who is ahead of us on track. So kind of weird to see one of the McLaren cars ahead of us with the Force India car, but we'll try and chase him down. He's on Supers off, so he's obviously not pit yet from the beginning of the Grand Prix. So he's taken those 11 laps. So actually we can use this as a bit of a yardstick essentially to see, okay, the McLaren can take those tyres to 11 laps. Let's say ideally I would be able to take them maybe you would say at least 12 laps, maybe 1 lap more than the McLaren car. I think Vandoorne may be coming in, so yet again we're going to get denied an overtaking opportunity on track as Bottas sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. But there goes Vandoorne into the pit, so we're going to climb up the order up into 5th place, as it's going to be eventually Palmer also, I think that is, making his pit stop. So we're into 5th place. We're matching our Australian Grand Prix place that we finished in, obviously there with the 2 Red Bulls going down the order with the intermediates in that race. Obviously now a bit of a different story. The Red Bull car's not doing so well because of a weird glitch in the mod, unfortunately. Again, unfortunate, but it does mean that we are having a fight with Hülkenberg and the 2 Williams cars, which I don't think was possible, especially with Hülkenberg, if the 2 Red Bull cars were there to kind of ruin the party. But we can see now up ahead for the lead is at the moment, I think that was Sebastian Vettel from Kimi Raikkonen to Valtteri Bottas, then Lewis Hamilton, then followed by myself myself, obviously, in P5 here, being chased down by Lance Stroll still. He's keeping me honest in the Grand Prix, I would say, so far. But we move on to lap 15 now, this will be, as we cross the line now. And I think behind us is going to be Lance Stroll trying to close up on us. You can see he's going to come up on the left-hand side. Proximity arrow there on the left. He's going to try it around the outside. I'll lock up. We're going to have to park on the apex a little bit. He's going to have a little look, but ultimately nothing's going to come of it, and we do stay in P5. But a bit of defending having to be done there. And lap 16, as my ultra softs start to go off here a little bit into the middle part of the lap, Stroll's going to get some great traction here. And he's going to have me. He's going to have me in a straight line here. He's going to have DRS, obviously, at this stage. And he's got me. He's got me here. So he's up into P5 now. I'm down to P6. And I'm having to be a little bit patient here because my tyre's going off. I'm going off circuit a little bit. And having to correct myself because the tyres just don't have the grip anymore. And so I'm going to take that as a bit of an indicator, basically, by the time we get to the end of lap 17 to pit on for the set of super soft tyres that I was planning on. We lost a bit more time to Stroll. I'm not going to lie. It was unfortunate. But the thing is, we're on super softs now. We'll go on to super softs and we'll be able to definitely push now 100% till the end of the race. So I'll be able to hopefully re-pass Lance Stroll. We'll see on circuit, and we'll see where Hulkenberg peters out into all this. I believe he's going to be coming down the road there, so I think that actually may have been him. That was one of the Renault cars, unless it was Julian Palmer out to sync of this Grand Prix. So as we come out, there was definitely a Renault that's gone through turn 1, but we're coming out in a bit of clean air, and there is the Renault. So that was Julian Palmer then, sorry. That's Nico Hulkenberg up the road, and you can see we've just come out ahead of the Mclaren car of, I believe, that stop of Vandoorne, maybe Fernando Alonso. I can't quite tell there from that panning shot, but that's Nico Hulkenberg for sure right ahead of us. So we have to try and repass him. He's got his teammate Palmer out to sync of this Grand Prix ahead of him there on track, but I believe Palmer should comfortably be behind us. But we've got to not only repass Stroll then, we've got to repass Hulkenberg. So that's how much time I actually did lose stretching out the ultra softs. But in the end of it, I think it'll be worth it because we've avoided these soft tyres that Stroll and Hulkenberg have used. And now I can just push flat out. We've only got 11 laps left. You saw earlier on, like I said, use Vandoorne as a yardstick. Vandoorne took those super softs 11 laps exactly, so they're fine to go that distance, so we should be fine. So we'll open DRS here and try and close up to Hulkenberg in the next lap or two, hopefully, as we move on now. We'll come through with DRS on the main straight now as we go on towards lap 19, and there should be a pass on Hulkenberg into turn 1 as we gain the speed, maxing out 8th gear. Here we go, move to the right-hand side, pretty easy move down the inside, shouldn't be any kind of dramas into the apex there, kind of just parking it to make sure we don't give him any space on the entry to maybe make a re-overtaking move, and we're up into P6, and now we charge after. Well, at the moment on the road is Lewis Hamilton, but it will be Lance Stroll eventually as we move on to lap 20. Lance Stroll was also on super soft tyres, so he's gone for ultra soft, softer than super soft, so using all the tyre compounds. But now we've got 9 laps of just pushing flat out. You saw Hulkenberg did actually try and close up on us on the beginning of lap 20 there, but no use for him. And now it's a bit of cat and mouse game pretty much between me and Lance Stroll, because as we move on to lap 23, this will be, you can see closing up on Stroll again, and just you'll be able to see I'm playing around with the fuel basically in the next lap or two. Basically, essentially, I don't want to waste any fuel on in corners that I don't need to. On the main straights where it's going to be the most effective, I bump it up to rich mix through the corners, especially turn 1. I may put it down to lean mixture to save some fuel, and then put it back up to standard. Basically, as I've said many times before, in this mod, one of the ways it gains the speed to actually get the 2017 kind of downforcing characteristics is the fuel, unfortunately, has to be burned a lot faster. So I'm constantly having to check my fuel and be wary of that. I can't just keep it in rich mix like a lot of the time I can do on other series like My Driver. And now we make a diving move down the inside of lap 24 though, but Stroll was actually going to crucially come back at us. We go side by side on the exit, and just like Massa did to us at the beginning of the Grand Prix, he's able to out-traction us on this second little main straight after the chicane on the opening part of the lap, and he's able to keep ahead of us now for P5, so we have to stick behind for P6. But as I mentioned, a little bit of a cat and mouse game. We'll just stick behind him as close as we kind of dare, basically, in sector 2. You can see the S section getting very, very familiar with Stroll's gearbox. He's doing a pretty damn decent job at the moment to defend from us, but I'm confident by the end of this lap we can get him, so just trying to keep as close as we can. You can see I am in lead mixture at the moment because we're right behind him in turbulent dirty air. There's no point kind of putting it up into rich mix. Essentially, we're going to lose time in this dirty air, so basically may as well save some fuel, save the fuel so we can actually use rich mixture and kind of not be worried that we're going to run out of it, you know, midway down the straight basically, and we have to start fuel saving while we're trying to make an overtake. Basically, we use the DRS to try and close up. A little bit of understeer there on that left-hander. Didn't get the best turn in there. We're going to continue to plant the power down in 6th gear here. A little bit of a lift off there, but we climb up in 7th gear at the end of sector 2. We lost a little bit of time, but we gained some back here in the brake zone there as we go through to gear 4. And then down this main straight, we'll gain some time as we bump it up into rich mixture. And then obviously through the final corner, try and brake as late as we can, swoop the car in, and basically straighten our car up as fast as we can to line this up. So now we may not be able to actually make the move into turn 1 because we're actually a little bit further than we were last lap to Stroll down this main straight. But I can now size myself up and shape my car up basically for a move at the end of sector 1. So we got the DRS wide open down into the brake zone of turn 1. Not going to make the move obviously so far back, but now look at this. We'll line ourselves up for a move there, try and get the traction down. We have to kind of save the car from going off a little bit with oversteer, and now we'll get the power, get the slipstream down the inside. This will be now for 5th place here. Come on, let's go side by side. We'll shove Stroll off a little bit wide there, going to give him the room, but he's been sent wide anyway, and we'll just about get there as we look behind as he tucks in behind. We set a purple first sector, and that's how you do it, and we're up into P5 there, and that is going to be it for the end of the Grand Prix. We're going to come home for P5, so we're going to match our position we got in Australia. Another decent finish for us here with Ocon in the Force India. Obviously, once again, disappointing our teammate was out this Grand Prix. There's going to be Kimi Raikkonen to come through for a second win this season. So, we obviously we were Raikkonen in season 1, and it looks like Raikkonen's AI is doing the job as well, like we did last season with him driving as him. Valtteri Bottas in 2nd place, so it's a 1-2 for the Finns with Vettel Hamilton behind. Obviously, Perez not scoring. The 2 Red Bull cars, though, did very poorly in this race with that weird glitch. So, in the end of it, not going to matter too much that Perez was out of that Grand Prix. There's Fernando Alonso, bitterly disappointed, obviously, with his McLaren Honda at the moment. But in the standings then, because of that 5th place, obviously the natural course is I was never going to stay in 2nd place. So we go down to 4th place there. Still ahead of Vettel, actually, in 5th. So not too bad, not too bad. That's pretty decent. And actually, you can see, obviously, Verstappen and Ricciardo down the order. Lance Stroll's actually ahead of Ricciardo at this stage with 12 points to 8 points there. And then as we go into the Constructors' Championship, we're in 3rd place there, ahead of the Red Bull guys with 51 points to 26. So at the moment, we've got a very decent advantage. But I want to remind you guys, remember, in season 1, there was that couple of races where Red Bull actually ended up trying to basically challenge for wins. So I think there will be a point where we basically need this little cushion to help us here. I'm not saying it's going to solve all our problems, but it's going to definitely help out for us. And as I said, I tried to fix this weird glitch. I really don't know what it was because I didn't touch the Bahrain mod, as it were, from last season. And Red Bull were fine last season. They were, in their usual kind of 5th and 6th position. So I really don't know what happened this time round. I tried to kind of bump them up with a bit more speed and straight line Red Bull. Just didn't work. I don't know what it really was. But as I said, it's a game. Sometimes modding doesn't go the way you want it to. Sometimes modding can go a little bit wrong. Hopefully it'll be fixed for the next one and there won't be any kind of issues with Red Bull. As I mentioned a few times, they will be challenging for the wins, I feel. So they kind of will balance out in the end. But guys, anyway, if you did enjoy the episode, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new out there, then do get subscribed for weekly foreign content. I've been Eva. Hope you enjoyed your day, and I'll see you guys next time.